What happens when one of Hollywood's most powerful billionaires is accused of crossing the line, and the actor who spoke up says his entire career was destroyed as payback? This $260 million lawsuit is shaking the industry, splitting fans, and raising the question: will justice finally be served, or will power silence the truth? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could change the way you see Hollywood forever. Hollywood is no stranger to drama, but this is something that has left fans, critics, and insiders speechless. We're talking about a legal battle that could shake the very foundations of the entertainment industry. Actor Derek Dixon, once a rising star on Tyler Perry's hit shows The Oval and Ruthless, has stepped into the spotlight, not on screen, but in court, with a jaw-dropping lawsuit seeking $260 million in damages against Tyler Perry himself. Yes, you heard that right. Tyler Perry, the man behind the media empire, a billionaire media mogul, a figure celebrated for creating opportunities for countless black actors, is now at the center of a scandal that reads like the script of a courtroom thriller. The lawsuit paints a dark and troubling picture. Dixon claims that what began as a professional relationship quickly turned into something much more sinister. According to the allegations, Perry allegedly sent inappropriate late-night messages. He invited Dixon to stay at his private guest house instead of driving home, and what happened next, Dixon says, was a nightmare. He claims that Perry climbed into bed with him, rubbed his leg, and later went even further, forcibly removing clothing and groping him. And it didn't stop there. Dixon alleges that when he rejected these advances, he was threatened with retaliation, that his character would be written off, killed off from the Oval. And ultimately, Dixon says, that's exactly what happened. He walked away from the final season of the show, losing what he claims was nearly $400,000 in income, money that, in his words, was stolen from him because he stood up for himself. But this case isn't just about money. Dixon says it's about justice, about showing the world that even the most powerful people in Hollywood are not above the law. He describes the emotional toll, anxiety, depression, sleepless nights, the feeling of being blacklisted in the industry, forcing him to seek therapy and medication just to cope. But here's where the story takes another dramatic turn. Tyler Perry's legal team is coming out swinging. They're calling the entire lawsuit a scam, insisting that every single accusation is false, that Dixon's story is a fabrication meant to extort money from a man who has spent decades building a legacy. And that's what makes this case so explosive. It's not just a legal fight, it's a battle over reputation. Who do you believe? The actor who says he risked everything to speak up, knowing it could end his career, or the billionaire filmmaker who claims he is being targeted because of his fame and fortune? This is not just about Derek Dixon and Tyler Perry. This is about power dynamics, workplace safety, and how we hold the most powerful people in Hollywood accountable. We've seen this story before, from Harvey Weinstein to Kevin Spacey, but this case feels different. Tyler Perry isn't just an actor or a director. He's a symbol of success, of beating the odds, of creating space for black voices in Hollywood. And that's what makes this case so heartbreaking for fans. If these allegations are true, what does that mean for Perry's legacy? And if they're false, what does that mean for the reputations of those who come forward with real experiences of abuse? The trial, if it moves forward, will be one of the most closely watched cases in entertainment history, because the verdict could set a precedent that shapes how harassment, retaliation, and abuse of power are handled in the industry for years to come. So, stay with us as we follow every twist and turn. Because this is more than just a Hollywood scandal. It's a story about truth, power, and justice, and the fight to find out where the real story lies. The lawsuit and the massive $260 million claim. The heart of this case is Derek Dixon's staggering $260 million lawsuit, a number that immediately made headlines across Hollywood and the business world. Dixon isn't just asking for compensation for lost wages. He's framing this lawsuit as a fight for accountability. He claims that because of the alleged harassment and retaliation, he not only lost his role on The Oval, which he estimates cost him nearly $400,000 in missed earnings, but he also lost future opportunities, credibility in the industry, and suffered deep emotional and psychological harm. The lawsuit includes several serious legal claims. Sexual harassment, alleging a pattern of unwanted advances, messages, and invitations that created a hostile work environment. Sexual battery and assault, claiming physical misconduct including unwanted touching. Quid pro quo harassment, where his continued employment allegedly depended on his compliance with Perry's advances. Retaliation, claiming that when he rejected Perry, his character was written off the show as punishment. Intentional infliction of emotional distress, citing the severe mental health toll, including anxiety, depression, and needing medication. Dixon's legal team argues that the damages sought, the $260 million figure, are not just about making him whole financially. They say it's about sending a message to Hollywood's most powerful figures that abuse of power will no longer be tolerated, no matter how rich or influential you are. This enormous dollar amount is meant to cover lost income from leaving the Oval before its conclusion. Potential future earnings he says he was denied because of reputational damage. Medical expenses for therapy, medication, and mental health treatment. Punitive damages, essentially, a financial penalty aimed at deterring similar behavior from other industry leaders. This is what makes the case so high stakes. We aren't talking about a quiet settlement behind closed doors. We're talking about a lawsuit that could publicly put one of Hollywood's biggest names on trial, with billions of dollars in net worth and a global reputation on the line. The allegations, a dark behind-the-scenes story. At the center of Derek Dixon's lawsuit are shocking allegations that pull back the curtain on what he says happened behind the scenes of Tyler Perry Studios. Dixon paints a disturbing timeline of events that began during his work on Perry's shows, The Oval and Ruthless. He claims that what started as a normal professional relationship soon turned uncomfortable. According to the lawsuit, Perry began sending him late-night text messages, some of which Dixon describes as flirtatious and suggestive. Then came the alleged turning point, an invitation to stay overnight at Perry's private guesthouse, supposedly for Dixon's convenience so he wouldn't have to drive home late. But Dixon says that night turned into something far from innocent. He alleges that Perry entered the guesthouse while he was resting, got into the bed with him, and began rubbing his leg. Behavior Dixon says was entirely unwanted and inappropriate. In another alleged incident, things escalated even further. Dixon claims Perry forcefully removed his clothing and groped him, describing the experience as frightening, humiliating, and violating. Perhaps most chilling are Dixon's claims about what happened after he tried to set boundaries. He alleges that Perry hinted, and later outright threatened, that if Dixon didn't go along with what was happening, his character on the Oval would be written off the show. And according to Dixon, that's exactly what happened. He says he was forced to choose between protecting his personal boundaries and keeping his job, and when he refused to comply, the retaliation was swift. His character was killed off, effectively ending his time on the show and slamming the door on a major opportunity for career growth. The lawsuit describes a work environment that became toxic and unbearable, leaving Dixon feeling unsafe, disrespected, and ultimately pushed out of a project he had worked hard to be part of. These allegations are serious, specific, and deeply personal, making them impossible to ignore. If true, they suggest a troubling abuse of power by one of the most influential figures in Hollywood. Career retaliation, when silence becomes the price of survival. One of the most powerful parts of Derek Dixon's lawsuit is his claim that his career was intentionally sabotaged as punishment for refusing to comply with Tyler Perry's alleged advances. This isn't just a side note in the case. This is the heart of why Dixon says he took the risk to go public. He alleges that after the incidents in the guesthouse, he became a target. What had once been a promising role on the Oval turned into a nightmare. The fallout on set. According to Dixon, the work environment grew tense. Scripts were changed, meetings became colder, and he felt a shift in how production staff treated him. What used to feel like a family on set now felt like walking on eggshells, as if everyone knew he was on the wrong side of someone powerful. The ultimate blow, being written off. Then came the biggest consequence of all. Dixon's character was suddenly killed off the show. To the outside world, this might look like just another creative decision. Characters are written out of TV shows all the time. But Dixon insists this was no coincidence. He says it was direct retaliation for refusing to give in, a punishment designed to hurt him professionally and send a chilling message to anyone else who might dare to resist. Losing that role wasn't just about screen time. It meant losing a steady paycheck, a high-profile credit in a major series, and the momentum he had worked years to build. He claims this decision alone cost him nearly $400,000, but more importantly, it cost him credibility in the industry. Blacklisting and reputation damage. Dixon describes what happened next as a form of blacklisting. Casting calls stopped. Audition offers dried up. Other shows and studios that once saw him as a rising star suddenly didn't call back. In Hollywood, reputation is everything, and Dixon says his was tarnished not by poor performance, but because he refused to play by rules that violated his boundaries. This is where the retaliation became more than just financial. It was personal. The emotional and mental health toll. Dixon says this experience left him feeling isolated, humiliated, and defeated. He has spoken about suffering panic attacks, depression, and anxiety so severe that he needed medication and therapy just to get through the day. Imagine working for years to build your dream career, only to watch it crumble in front of you, not because of your talent, but because of a decision to protect your dignity. This is why Dixon argues that the lawsuit is not just about money, it's about making sure no one else has to choose between their safety and their career. The bigger picture. Retaliation cases like this matter far beyond one actor's story. They highlight a painful truth about many industries, that the fear of losing everything keeps victims silent. Dixon's legal team argues that if powerful figures can retaliate without consequences, then others will stay quiet and the cycle of abuse will continue. By including retaliation as a core part of his lawsuit, Dixon is essentially saying, it's not enough to punish harassment, we have to protect people who say no.